Welcome back to a little mini series of how to print a PDF on Amazon's CreateSpace services. This is part 2 of the video. In part 1, we just talked about how to get started and how to get to this point in the video in which we're going to upload the interior file. So for that to happen, of course, we need an interior file. And if you have a Word document that you've written yourself, or in fact an RTF, then you can just head over and upload that straight away. But in my case, I have a kind of a shady PDF here from the internet, and in this case I need a special version of that will be the correct size so that nothing gets cut off. And of course I don't want this front page to be included in the interior of the file. So even though this is the cover, we're going to deal with the cover separately. So the interior of the file is literally just all the text that's on the inside pages of the book. So in this case, that's all these kind of floppy pages, whereas the outside, that is the cover that we're going to deal with separately. All right, so I'm on a Mac here, so I'm going to use Preview for that. And all I want to do is really two things. I want to make sure this is presented in the correct size, and I want to make sure that the cover is not included. So in Preview, I can do that by selecting the first page I want to print, which is this one here. That'll go on the as soon as I open the cover, that'll be here on page 1. And then I can scroll all the way to the very end and select the last page that I want to print. So the last page in my case is also not this one here. That is also the that's kind of the back cover. Then it also comes with a Power Play. What is this, like a subscription kind of card? I don't need that either. So I'm just going to select this as the last page. This here, page 487. So I'm going to make sure this one's selected, scroll all the way up, and then hold Shift down and select the next page that I want printed. So now I've got everything selected except for the first page, and in my case the last 2 pages, and that's very important. Actually, there's one other thing I just wanted to make sure we discuss this one more time. Sometimes, especially if it's like a kind of a half shady case like in my case, if you have if I just select this page so we can see it a little bit better, this is the second page, and that contains what's known as Frontmatter in the printing business. Now that often has the copyright and some copyright notices, and it also often has the ISBN in here. So this is a commercial paperback here, and in its Frontmatter it has all this. So that's kind of a lot of stuff that's in the Frontmatter. And if you have a look at it, the Frontmatter also includes the ISBN here for this book. And that's important to remember, that Amazon will actually provide you with an ISBN, and that goes on the back here. And this ISBN, if you mention an ISBN in the Frontmatter of your book, then it must match the one that's on this cover. So they will create this for us on the cover, this barcode including the ISBN. But if you have something inside your book, then that an ISBN inside your book, then it must match the one that's on the cover. And of course on the commercial paperback that is the case, and on my book that is also the case, because it's very easy on a Word document to add it or to remove it. But if I had a PDF that contains that in here, then you must either make sure that you skip this page and not print it, or you must find a way to either eradicate that ISBN or update it or whatnot. So in my case, I can print this because I'm mentioning this because it's important. The Amazon review team will actually have a look at your book, and if it contains an ISBN mismatch, then they will let you know and you can't print it. So, just one of those things to remember. If your Frontmatter contains an ISBN, make sure it's the right one. Otherwise, make sure it's not included. So I've lost my selection here now, so let me just do that again. So I'm going to select this as my first page. I'm going to scroll all the way to the end here and select the last page I want to print. And then I need to create a new PDF from this selection. So on my Mac in Preview, you can head over up to File and head over to Print. And then you can in fact choose the correct paper size you want to print that out as. So this is something that requires a little bit of experimentation, and that's a good thing that this preview thing comes up here. So in my case, I want this to be on the paper size of ideally 6:9, but I'm not allowed to choose that here, even though I've defined that down here. I'm not allowed to choose that. That's fine. 5:8 will be okay. And I also want to make sure that I click this option here, selected pages in sidebar, because otherwise it'll print all the pages, like, you know, as it says in all, and I want the selected pages in the sidebar. I can flick through this if I need to, in case, well, now they've scaled this to fit it. I think I'm going to do this with 100% scale. So rather than use the auto scale, I'm using the 100% scale. And I want to make sure there's as much text going towards the edges as possible without there being anything cut off. So I'm doing this because Amazon will kind of try and resize things by themselves already, and they will add a little bit of extra margin to the book. So, you know, I just want to make sure I'm helping them out there, and I don't leave as much white space in my PDF as there could be. So this is all much easier if you have a Word document that you're working with, because that text can be resized on the fly, whereas of course if you have a PDF like I have, then that won't be possible. It's kind of they're basically like a series of images, more or less. There's no text flow that could be rearranged, whereas with a Word document or a rich text document, that's all much easier. So scale 100% in 5:8, that seems to be a good match. But now, of course, if I'd hit the print button, then I would actually get my printer to print all this. And I don't want to do that. I just want to create another PDF. And in preview, I can do that by heading over to the PDF option here and then say Save as PDF. I will put this on my desktop with perhaps a different title than the current one has. So I will say just CS, so that I know it's for CreateSpace, or I can add different versions to this, so I'll do that. It'll go to work and print all these pages out to a PDF. And once I've got that, I can go back to the web browser, and with my selections of a black and white interior and a cream colored page color, or, you know, choose full color if you want to splash out, choose a different size if you want. I'm going to use this one. I'm going to head over to the interior file and upload the PDF that I've just created. So that's this one here, 23 megabytes, so that's not that big. I can also choose the bleed here. The bleed ends after the edge of the page or ends before the edge of the page. This is kind of a trial and error thing depending on what you have and how you have set up your margins here. I'm going to set it up to end before the edge of the page. Run automatic print checks and view formatting issues online. I can do that. I just hit save, and at that moment it will start uploading your document. And then it'll take a few minutes for the automatic process to go ahead and check your file. So we will let that happen, and I'll just speed up. We'll just cut over this thing until it's finished. It'll take about 5 to 10 minutes, and I'll be back as soon as it happened. So there we go. Looks like Amazon's finished reviewing the interior file, and it looks like it's found 2 issues. We don't know what those issues are yet, but in order to find out, we can launch the interior reviewer. This is usually related to images being blurry or some text or some graphics being cut off, and we need to either ignore those or have a look at them. So with the interior reviewer, this is going to require Flash, and it'll take a little bit of time to load this, but it'll give us an accurate representation of what our book would look like at this point already with the file that we've just uploaded. So that's very, very cool. There, once we've done that, it's got, there we go, get started, and it'll give us a couple of hints here at the top here. This PDF was submitted at a size different from the expected trim size. We have attempted to place the content on the page in a reasonable location. Please check each page to make sure everything appears as expected. If the content is not aligned properly, please resize your PDF to match the trim size and upload it again. Hopefully we don't have to do that, and it looks like it's working just fine. So there's another thing that that we can do here. So this is one issue up here, and this is the second issue. Your file contains images less than 200 dpi, which may appear blurry and pixelated in print. For optimal printing, we recommend all images be at least 300 dpi. Thank you for the recommendation, but I think that's not going to be an issue because we're looking at sketches and an old blurry PDF anyway. So we can ignore this issue, but it is a good idea to look through at least some of the pages to see if you're happy with it. So if at this point you would see that some of the text is cut off, or that the pages don't quite flow the way you want them, so perhaps chapter 1 would appear on this page rather than on this page, then this is your chance to make changes to your PDF or to your Word document and then go and upload it again. Another thing that they do here is all these little exclamation markers here. This one, if you click on that, it will show you what this particular issue is. And this is one example of this is 150 dpi, and it should really be more than that. So I'm totally happy with that. On my previous PDF that I've uploaded here, I got another issue that was that they had to resize this, and it would create a lot of white space on the page. And was I happy with that? And if not, then I could make a change to that. But that happened because the PDF that I was previously trying to print wasn't actually in a size that was kind of the aspect ratio of 6:9. It was something more squarish, and that was creating more white space at the top and at the bottom. So they kind of shrank it down accordingly so that the pages would all fit, but of course that created a bit of white space at the top and at the bottom. You can also, if you just want to quickly flick to the end of this, and in my case I've got about 500 pages here, I can click on something. Oh, there we go, page. If I just type in a number, I can go there directly. So in my case, it takes a little bit of time. That's the index. That looks just fine to me as well. And we can have a look at what this looks like at the end. So if there would be more pages necessary to make up the kind of the printer's 4-page thing, then they would add additional pages into the back. So that's cool. I'm happy with this. I'm going to click Save and Continue, which will close the interior viewer. And of course I can also go ahead and now upload a different file if I wanted to. Or I can have another look here, or I can just ignore the issues and continue. So in my case, I'm happy with what I'm seeing, so I'm going to ignore the issues and continue. Now on to the next part. This is for the cover, and we're going to deal with the cover in the next video because that'll require a lot of Photoshop work. So have your Photoshop ready in order to create a cover from the existing PDF, or skip over that part if you like and use a cover creator of your own choice. There are many ways in which you can make a cover, and we're going to discuss all that in the next video. Thank you for watching so far. If you like this video, then please share it with friends, family, and total strangers, and your fellow self-publishing authors and everyone who wants to print a shady PDF off the internet. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you like techie tips like this. I will see you in the next part. Take care. Bye-bye.